Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. We got some good content for y'all today, but before we get into it, got to do the YouTube thing, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that notification bell so what? You don't miss none of these bangers that we drop every single week. And we back, man. What's good with you, D-Lo?
What's up, brother? What's good with you?
Man, same old, same old. How was your week this week?
This week was good, as I always say, spending time with the family.
Yes, sir.
Last week was really good. Only thing about spending time with the family is I may think I'm spending more time with the family than I actually am. My daughter pointed out to me that I don't spend as much time with them as I think I do. So what I'll do
talk about over there, man?
She's the oldest, so she as she gets older, she goes and does her thing. Obviously, I'm doing my thing with this and work and spending time with Stacy. And I thought I was spending time with her, but maybe not. And then it always seems like the baby of the household gets all of the attention when they need more attention than the older one, just because they can't do things that the oldest can do. But I think that's what it is. But since she's about to be on summer break, I want to make sure that this summer I spend a lot of time with her, just doing different things, and after summer moving forward, so on and so forth.
That's what's up. I know she'll appreciate it too, man. She just wanted to voice her opinion a little bit. You got to listen to the kiddos. You got to listen
absolutely.
to the kiddos, man.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And then last week, got to see some people that I haven't seen in quite some time.
The 20th reunion, man, class reunion, man. How'd that go?
Yeah, it went well. I didn't go to any official event. Went to a little kickback that one of our high school basketball teammates hosted, and like I said, I got to see some individuals I haven't seen in quite some time, so that was good. And then last night, me and the wife got some one-on-one time away from the house to be out and about. Fellas, if you're married, if you're not married, if you're getting married, whatever the case may be, make sure you continue to date your wife. Make sure you continue to date your wife. She really appreciated it. I appreciate it. She was more excited than me. Don't tell her that to go out. But it was good to spend time with her and
for sure.
Be out on a date and whatnot. What about you, man?
Sure.
How's everything been with you?
Hey, man, everything is on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? Still, just like every week, make sure I spend time on the weekends with Sam and make sure that I'm getting that time in with her because, again, she's the reason why I'm across the nation from my boy D-Lo. Just making sure that
people,
she's
not
good.
just me.
And facts from the family, from the tribe, from the clan. You feel me? I'm across the nation from them, but it's because of her. And I'm just make sure I'm spending time with her, man. And doing my coding class, and it's getting intense because we getting in the JavaScript now, D-Lo. So it's getting.
Ooh, I told you.
It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic in this joint now, but no, it's cool because, like I said, man, it's it's very rewarding to see what I type on that screen come up as like a website, so to speak. So it feels good whenever I get it right and it shows, and my work actually shows. So as tough as it is, it's a very rewarding field to be in. So I'm excited to keep going. Still on pace to finish by September, October. So that's cool, which is my goal anyway. So everything is straight, man. Everything's on the up and up, bro. Everything is dope.
Yeah, you've inspired me to take a look at potentially going back into it as well. So
that's what's up.
I'm taking a different route than you, though. I'm not. It's self-taught for me. It's self-taught for you, though, right?
So to speak, yeah. I still get kind of mentored and tutored along the way, and they let me know where I'm making mistakes. But it's still self-taught for me too. I still have to read and code on my own, so it's still kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, well, mine is completely self-taught, though. I don't have or anything like that. It's just looking at different courses and then applying what I know and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, you've inspired me to potentially take a look at doing it again because, I do like doing it. It's just other stuff came up and I was I put it on the back burner.
Facts. But that's what's up, man. Maybe we can have a little meeting of the minds because I'm gonna need your help, player.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, sir. But what we got for the content this week, bro?
The content this week, we're gonna start out with once again week 3 weeks in a row, sending condolences. We want to send our condolences to Jacklyn Smith and her family. Jacklyn Smith, better known as Miss Jackie O, as well as John Whitfield, better known for his Instagram handle DC Young Fly, as Miss Jackie O apparently passed away earlier this week.
Yeah, man.
Right now, no official statement has been made on her death, but it is being widely reported that she passed away from cosmetic surgery, or the mommy makeover from the cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, man.
So how you feeling about that?
It's crazy, man. I know, again, just like D-Lo said, man, all condolences go to Jackie O and her family, DC Young Fly and his family, man. It's always tragic whenever you lose somebody who you love. And especially whenever it's the mother of your children. Those, all blessings go to those kids and all blessings go to both families. But I mean, we've talked about in a couple of episodes about, cosmetic surgery and the dangers of, unfortunately, Miss Jackie O was, it happened to her. I'm trying to figure out the right words to say so it don't sound crazy. But
yeah, it's a crazy, it's
a crazy situation,
unfortunate
man,
situation to talk about. But yeah,
it is, man, and there's a lot of dangers and a lot of side effects that go into mommy makeovers, BBLs, and breast augmentation, things of that nature. That a lot of women need to look out for and kind of research before they do get some of these things. It's just a tough situation to talk about, man, because of course DC Young Fly is one of the funniest guys in the world right now. And I know his spirit is broken for something like this. And I was looking at a couple of clips from him and her interacting on Wild 'N Out, because she was a Wild 'N Out girl for about 5 seasons. And I was watching them interact, and they looked like they had a really good time together. Looked like that was his lady. You know what I'm saying? And it just sucks, man, because he's a good dude from what I know, and she was a good mother and a good woman from what I know, from what I've seen too. So shout outs to them. Condolences to the families, man. It just sucks, man. Be careful with these cosmetic surgeries, guys, because there's some risk. There's some risk. There's a lot of risk for the reward that you seek out to get. So just be careful with those if you think about getting them.
100%. And the thing that just crossed my mind is we said condolences to their families, but more so condolences to those kids. It really sucks for them. She has 3, or her and DC Young Fly had 3 together, and they're all relatively young. I want to say under 5 years old, if not a little bit younger. They're probably, as much as the families are going to protect them right now and try to make sure that they remember their mom as they get older, they're not going to have any real remembrance of their mother when they get older. That's true. That is the part that's really heartbreaking when you think about it, is she did have those 3 young kids. She was going in for a mommy makeover to get the quote unquote snapback look. But she lost her life, and now the kids are without a mother. And like I said, I know that the families are going to do what they need to do to make sure that they are protected, make sure that the kids remember their mom and who she was. But it's just such an unfortunate event that happened. I will say a message to all the women out there: no matter what you do, no matter if you're going for a particular look for a specific man or for yourself, there are, for every one man that you're trying to get the attention of, high profile man, I should say, every high profile man or a man of a certain status you're trying to get the attention of by changing your looks, or even if you're trying to do it for yourself, I guarantee you that there are 10 to 12 average guys out there that will appreciate you for what you are,
who you are, what you look like. 100%.
100%. So, I mean, these cosmetic surgeries, while they do help your confidence, the confidence ultimately starts within yourself and your own self-esteem, and not what some doctor can do for you. Even though we know that don't want to go on too long, but even though we know that these surgeries are becoming, as they say more safe, they're becoming more prevalent because we are such a vain culture all across the world right now.
Yeah.
Your ultimate beauty starts within, and then it radiates out.
100%. And just to kind of talk about what the points D-Lo just made, man, the beauty standards that you see all over the internet and all over social media, to keep it 100, and I can only speak for myself, and I think I can speak for D-Lo too. A lot of it is outrageous, and a lot of it, most good guys don't even care for, to be perfectly honest with you. And if I'm just like D-Lo said, for that one high profile guy the high status guy that you're trying to get the attention for, I'm gonna go on to say it's probably more than 10 to 12. It's probably about 100, 200 dudes that'll just love you for who you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Probably more than that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, I mean, and not to talk down on Jackie. Oh, she was just trying to make sure that after these 3 kids, she still looked good. And that's cool.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And DC was her man anyway. So she had a high profile man. So it don't matter. We're not talking about her in particular. We're just talking about the cosmetic surgeries and the risks of. So I don't want y'all to think that we're talking down on Jackie O, because she was a beautiful woman in her own right herself. So it is what it is. But the beauty standards, like D-Lo said, man, your beauty comes from within and radiates out. And as long as you have that personality and that charisma and that, you know, that confidence within yourself, we gonna love you regardless. So we good. Yeah. Same thing with the men, man. The men getting cosmetic surgeries too. So
100%.
For that one chick you trying to get the attention of, trust me, is 100, 200 girls that'll love you for who you are. So don't even trip. So that's for everybody. So beauty within, radiate that shit out, man.
A universal message.
100%. But moving on from one thing to the next, what was you about to say?
Nah, exactly what you was about to say. I know what you was about to say, actually.
Yeah.
So they always say when one life is lost, another
one is brought in. 100%.
Go ahead, man.
We got another 80-plus-year-old dude out here shooting the club up.
Yeah.
What's going on? So first we go from Robert De Niro,
79, now we go having his kid,
to Al Pacino at 83 having hit with a 29-year-old girlfriend. But see now, okay, so first of all, question number one: what's going on with these old dudes thinking they can't have kids and up here shooting out the club? Because he said in the report he had a condition that said that he couldn't have children, but then so he forced the girlfriend to have a DNA test, which came out to be his anyway. So like so now I'm first of all, it's gonna sound crazy, so don't judge me. First of all, kudos to Al Pacino, because I hope and pray that Sticks can still at 83. You feel me?
You know, you more than likely, pause, will be able to. You know, that's why they say men can, you know, they can, as long as it can get up, they can put them out. You know what I mean? That's it. So I mean, I think you will be able to, as long as you can get it up. No homo, or pause, I should say. But yeah, it's just. This is crazy, man, because, again, it wasn't even a month ago, or was it a month ago? We were talking about Robert De Niro having his child at 79 with a 44, 45-year-old. And Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are friends.
Close friends.
Very close friends. They starred together in a couple of films. The most notable would be Godfather. And then now Robert De Niro at 83 is having his child with a 29-year-old.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. Al Pacino is having him a child with a 29-year-old. The thing that kind of kills me is, if this was me and you at 83 in the current status that we have, do you think somebody significantly younger than us is wanting to lay down with us?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Significantly, like 60-year difference, dog. Like, what do you own? 64-year difference.
Yeah, in this case, 60 years. In Robert De Niro's case, it was 40 years or so. For me, significantly would be 30 years, so a generation and a half. A difference is like, nah, that's not even thought of. But apparently, this is the 29-year-old's thing. She dated Mick Jagger before dating Al Pacino. So, and Mick Jagger currently is 79. So this is apparently her thing.
That's crazy.
I feel like Robert De Niro is he needed. I feel like he needed to hit the training room after doing all the, punching around a little bit to prepare for the next one. 83, man. I know his whole body was sore after, doing what he had to do, man. It's crazy to me that at 83 individuals are still having kids. I know biblically back in the day, everybody lived longer. Moses had a baby late in his life with his wife Sarah, but everybody was living longer biblically back then, 100 plus, 200 plus years. At 83, man, you supposed to be ready to tap out. So to have a kid to bring a life in,
have at it, man. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I can't see myself having a kid at 83 because that's just like we said about Robert De Niro. Having a kid 70, 80 years old, by the time that child gets to the point where it wants to be able to do, activities and be outside and do things, I won't be, in enough shape or even, good enough to do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So past the age of I would say 50 or so, ain't no reason for me to be having no children.
55,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure,
55 for sure. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but these guys are high profile actors and they're multi-millionaires, man. So they have nothing but time on their hands. You know what I'm saying? So
they have the funds and all that.
So Shorty, like you said, she dated Mick Jagger before him. She dating him now. I wonder if she got a kid by Mick Jagger. That's neither here nor there.
I didn't see that. I didn't read that, but
I didn't read that either. But
they dated.
So I mean, 83. Yeah, congratulations to Al Pacino. This would be his fourth kid. She reportedly she's 8 months pregnant now, so the baby gonna drop in a month or so. So, congratulations to you, Al.
Yeah, all seriousness.
You out here 83, going crazy. So you do your thing, player. Hey, player.
All right, man. So we both have seen The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And I know you saw it with your daughter. I saw it with my family, my wife. What are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a really, really, really good live action Disney movie. It's probably up there as one of the top for me because I've seen a lot of live action Disney movies and a lot of them have been really, really bad. Some of them have been very, very good. This one was a really, really well directed, really good live action movie for me, and it's not never mind because that's not even a Disney movie. It's Pixar. Never mind. But to me it was great. But to me, it wasn't better than
Disney owns Pixar, just so you know.
Cool. Okay, I'm glad you said that. So, Puss in Boots to me was the better movie. That movie was amazing. The second one was great, dog. My favorite movie of the year so far. And it's still a lot of year to go. It's still half of the year to go. But the movie was dope, man. I mean, it followed the storyline pretty well. Bailey's sister did a thing. I always get them mixed up, so that's why I didn't say that. But I think Hallie. Okay, I always get them mixed up. But she did a thing in the movie, and she sounded great. She acted great. Her part in the movie was amazing. It was a good movie for me. What you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie as well. I don't remember the original Little Mermaid that much, but according to my wife, it followed the storyline of the original Mermaid pretty well. It left a lot of it in, and it took some things out, which was fine with me. But I thought overall the movie was good. Hallie definitely sounded good in her singing. I think they kind of forced her to sing a bit more than she should have, though, especially with the Under the Sea part. Again, I don't remember the original too much, but I don't think in the original Little Mermaid,
Ariel didn't sing in that song.
Ariel sung in that part, and she was singing. So I mean, but she sounded good nonetheless. Not to take any jabs at her. I thought the movie was good. I liked the diversity of it. The sisters being so diverse. I liked how
Eric's mom was a black lady.
Yeah, Eric's mom was a
adopted mom, so to speak. But
she was a black queen. And then I liked how obviously Hallie was a good representation for little black girls all over to envision themselves being the prince and being the main character, as we've seen multiple times, or on a lot of Instagram posts or Twitter posts, whatever social media posts, where little girls go into the store looking at, Disney merchandise for the Little Mermaid, and they either are excited or disappointed, depending on which Little Mermaid character is on. Little black girls, I should say, is on the merchandise that they're looking to purchase. So I think obviously representation matters, and this was, which is why I love the fact that the movie turned out to be good, and that a lot of people have gone to see it, is because when it first was announced that the Little Mermaid was going to be black, it was so much controversy, that now seeing it in live action and looking at the movie and seeing the response that it's gotten, it's just a feel good story.
It is, man. It is. It's one thing I did see. There's still a little bit of controversy. I don't know if you saw this, but I do follow a couple of different pages on social media than you do. So what I did see is that a lot of women on social media, and this is not the knock on women, and so don't come at me on this, please, women. But a lot of women were up in arms a little bit on social media, most notably Twitter, about how they didn't appreciate the fact that the woman had to give up her voice to get the man.
But
I mean, it's a part of the storyline, yes.
Yeah.
But it's a part of the original movie as well. So I don't, but it going with that same topic, right? In relationships in general, and this is not to talk about relationships, but in relationships in general, a lot of, we have a lot of independent women in the world, which is good. Do y'all thing, ladies. We appreciate y'all. And they felt like it was a shot at independent women giving up their voice, because they always say the man is the alpha in the relationship. And, women need to sit back and be submissive, and this, that, and the third. And a lot of women these days, especially independent women, don't feel like they need to give up their voice to have a man or get a man or be quiet or sit on the sideline and this, that, and the third, which I agree with.
I find fault in that, though.
What's up? But speak your piece.
So I find fault with it, though, because yes, she did give up her voice in order to become human so that she can go see Eric, right? But originally, his whole premise was to find Ariel because he remembered her voice. And so when she didn't have a voice, he still saw past all of that and became attracted to her.
Exactly.
And then when Ursula came on land and had Ariel's voice, it confused him because he wanted to be with, according to the movie, he wanted to be with Ariel, even though she did not speak or say anything to him. But they got along. They just had this vibe, this connection,
and this chemistry,
this chemistry. But then Ursula came and switched it, right? And kind of confused him. But then when she got her voice back, it undoubtedly made his ultimate feelings true. That connection is like, oh, this is exactly who I was looking for the whole time. And now that her voice is here, I see that it's her. So, I mean, I find fault in that. Women have the right to feel however they feel.
100%.
There's always different storylines and different meanings behind certain things that are portrayed in movies. So, whatever you portrayed that to be is what you portrayed it to be. But I find fault in that. And we know.
We know how it is, but I just wanted to just kind of bring that up, see how you felt about that comment, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I will say, even though the movie has gotten as much publicity and much notoriety as it has, as many dollars that it's been spent to go watch that movie, technically, based off of industry terms, the movie is still a flop, which is hard to fathom. Exactly. And the reason it is because Disney reportedly spent $250 million on the movie. And as of right now, the movie has only grossed $209 million. And in order for it not to be a flop, it has to break even by a large amount. So now it's still a flop. But, that's neither here nor there. I think, eventually Disney will make his money for it.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought it was a good movie. Glad the representation was there for all Black women and little Black girls across the world. And hopefully Disney will continue to make these live action films where the main characters are individuals, because I too, like you, thought this was good. I thought Aladdin was good. Did not think Lion King was good
I
because
thought it was horrible.
the actors were animals, and it's hard to get animals to act like how they're supposed to act. Anyway,
exactly. But if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend to go see it. And then it's a really, really good movie. Just like Delon said, D'Lo. I'm sorry, I keep saying D'Lo.
It's all good, bro.
Just like D'Lo said, it's a feel good movie, and it definitely has a lot of the touches from the original, from the animated one. So go see it if you haven't already.
Yep. Shannon Sharp supposedly leaving Undisputed after the NBA Finals. This came out of nowhere.
It did, bro. It did, and we kind of saw it coming low key, because when we talked about what happened whenever they got into that big rant, that disagreement about how Shannon always says that, not Shannon, but Skip always says that Shannon is what's the word I'm looking for? Jealous of Tom Brady, and they got into that big rant on air, live TV, and they was arguing back and forth. He said, "You think I'm a bum or something?" They've had a lot of different run-ins together, and they're trying to figure out exactly who. A lot of people, the producers and the internet and the media and people like just regular people like us, are trying to figure out like who is the leading running man of that show, and. Man, it did come out of nowhere, because, Skip has his ways and Shannon is not going back down. So, what do you think, D-Lo? What do you think is the reason for Shannon leaving FS1 and Undisputed?
It came out of nowhere. But I think if you look at that situation and you obviously do research about it, this relationship has been decaying for quite some time. And it's a multitude of reasons why it has been decaying. Obviously, you just mentioned it. They got into a little spat on air when they were talking about Tom Brady's performance in the last game of the regular season, where obviously Skip was protecting Tom, and
always
Tom
does,
Brady,
though.
Tom Brady is his guy, so he's going to protect him.
Can't do no wrong.
And Shannon Sharp was basically saying the whole game was his fault. And then that's when Skip took a jab at him, a big jab, a knockout blow, if you will, saying he was jealous of Tom because he's still playing at 45, and Shannon Sharp had to retire at 35, and he's in the Hall of Fame and a way better player than Shannon, and so on and so forth. Another issue that Shannon has with Skip is when the DeMar Hamlin incident happened with the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, and Skip made a tweet, and Shannon took, offense to that. He missed the next day. When he came back after that, he said he would hope that Skip take it down. Skip quickly came back and was like, "Well, I'm not taking it down." And then, he just went on about it. Other stuff that I've seen about this whole situation is that Skip is jealous of Shannon, and Shannon, while he is an alpha male, doesn't want to be the undoubted leader of Undisputed. But
yep.
he would like to be equals and have equal say. So it's topics that he wants to talk about that is kind of like pushed to the side and going with what Skips wants to talk about. And that's why I hit you up earlier today, Sticks. After I read that, I was like, dang, because I don't want our relationship to ever be like that.
We good. Yeah.
But I just had to bring that up. But yeah. I feel like it's a multitude of reasons why this has gone the way it has gone so quickly, if you will. But the ones that I've mentioned are the main reasons why it has ended up the way it is, and so soon. We got wind of this last week, and after the NBA Finals, which could end, we'll talk about this later on
this week.
It could end quickly. We won't see Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless on Undisputed anymore.
And it's crazy, man, because they've had really good chemistry on air as far as debates are concerned. Whenever Shannon was filling in sometimes for Stephen A. Smith on First Take, and they always had really good chemistry. But
right.
The longer that you work with someone, the longer that you get to know someone, you're going to notice that they do have some faults and some flaws, and it's going to be things over time that it's gonna piss you off and get on your nerves about people, especially whenever it comes to business. And the whole the two rants that the two spats that they did have that me and D-Lo both talked about, Shannon Sharpe is, like you said, he's an alpha male. He's a very strong-minded individual. And whenever he believes in something strongly, he's going to make sure you understand that he believes in it as strongly as he does. And especially something like Damar Hamlin, because me and D-Lo both play football. And that is, just like Shannon Sharpe said, a brotherhood. Like, it's literally like a fraternity of brothers, where if one dude, don't matter if he's on your team or not, don't even matter if you know him personally or not, if one dude gets hurt, especially to the magnitude that Mr. Hamlin did, we're all gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not something that we're just gonna, brush under the sweep under the rug and let it go and just keep playing ball. Now we all gonna feel that. And we all gonna sit back and take time to be like, damn, that could have been me, because we're all in the same profession. And for Shannon for what his tweet said, basically was like, this is the last game of the season and its playoff implications. Are we just gonna forget about the game of football whenever there's a man fighting for his life on the ground in this football game? So what Skip said was very, very insensitive. And I understand what Shannon's stance on that was. And for Skip to just come back and say, I'm not taking it down because I stand by what I said, it pissed him off. It pissed Unc off, because it's like, well, bro, you just don't give a fuck. All you care about is the content. It's COE with Skip, huh? That's what it is. It's a COE with Skip, content over everything.
100%.
100%.
I believe it is. But what I will say about both of them, more so Shannon than Skip, I guess, is that they have a high sense of professionalism, because I'm sure this has been, something that has been floated around that whole set, that whole show for a little bit of time now, that Shannon probably wants to be out. But every day that they're on set with each other, you couldn't really tell. I mean, I don't know. You couldn't really tell that they had any tension between them. Their interactions on set, they acted as if nothing was the same. Nothing has changed since their spats and the Damar Hamlin situation. But the high sense of professional, because I don't know how I would react if I'm like, man, I'm trying to get up out of here. I don't care what you're talking about. I'm
telling you,
Skip. I mean, Shannon ain't really missed any days other than that one after the Damar Hamlin situation. So it's just crazy, the sense of professionalism that they have. I don't know whether it's an internal sense of professionalism or they're forced to be professional because of their contracts they have.
But I think it's more so internal than it is the contractual, because I mean, you don't want to do anything to lose your contract, but at the same time, I think both of them have a very, very high sense of professionalism within themselves, because they both, of course, Shannon was an ex-player, but he also, he has his own podcast where he does a lot of interviews where he has to be professional. Skip has been on a multitude of different debate shows, from Sports Center to First Take to now Undisputed. So I mean, they have that knowledge and that experience to be able to know how to act in a professional setting, especially when you're working with somebody one-on-one. But not, and I already mentioned the podcast Club Shay Shay, that was also, backed by FS1. So now he is pulling that off of FS1 too. So I mean, it had to be, just like D-Lo said, it had to be a long time coming, because for something like this to happen so urgently, and for him not to only be leaving the show but also pulling his podcast, it's got to be something that was built up over time, because this is what, their 7th year together, I believe.
Yeah, they've been together for 2015, I think. So
going on 8th year, yeah. So the 8th year that they've been on air together. So yeah, it had to be something that was built up over a combination of years, and probably a combination of issues that they've been having together behind the scenes, because you can't really tell on the show if they're because they're so professional, just like D-Lo said. Right. You can't tell on the show that they're having anything going on. So it's got to be something behind the scenes, mixed with, Skip taking jabs and saying things on social media that Shannon don't really agree with. So, because, Skip is on social media. Like, whenever there's a game on that he's interested in, he's tweeting. He's going crazy. Shannon, not so much. I don't really see much from him, except, the biggest thing that he was in was with KD, but that was some years back, a couple of years back. But
nah, he be on Twitter too.
He be going crazy on Twitter.
Not quite as much as often as Skip does, but Shannon does live tweet during certain games. Like, you'll probably see him. He probably tweeted a couple times during the game last night with the Nuggets and the Heat, or was it last night? 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, yeah. The game
2 nights ago.
what,
Yeah.
2 nights ago, yeah.
2 nights ago, yeah, because they play tonight. Yeah, so you probably saw he tweeted a couple times. He'll interact with fans here and there, but Skip will just will tweet constantly throughout the game, especially if LeBron is playing. Like he'll tweet
100%.
every little thing LeBron does, or everything that the other team does right against LeBron, so to speak. But yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But yeah, Unc does tweet quite a bit during certain games.
And that's another thing that they had their disagreements on was LeBron. Of course, Shannon thinks LeBron is the GOAT. Skip is hyper, ultra, mega critical of LeBron James. Like he will never be the GOAT in Skip's eyes, and he's already the GOAT in Unc's eyes. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming, man. I mean, I feel like even though you wouldn't know it, it's been a long time coming, and it just sucks, man, because I like Undisputed. I don't get a chance to actually watch the show live, but I always listen to it, on Apple podcasts and stuff like that, to where I can get the information. But I'm going to miss the show because they were a really good dynamic to have as far as sports debate. Because they were, Skip is, he's hypercritical. He's an older guy, so he has a little bit more knowledge. But Shannon is very powerful in his approach, and very powerful in his delivery with what he says. So I mean, it was a really good show to me, and it's going to suck to see Shannon leave. But I mean, if there's issues behind the scenes, man, what can we do?
Yeah, I think they'll both be okay though. I really think Unc is going to be fine with his podcast and finding another job. He's probably one of the hottest sports personalities out there right now. Yep. And as much as a lot of people don't like Skip, I think he'll be okay too. Oh, yeah. It may be time for him to think about hanging it up a bit, but I mean, he still has some life in whatever he brings to the sports media industry, but not as much life as he would like to think, but I think they'll both be fine after this, though.
That man told his wife that if he had to choose between his sports journalism career and her, he would choose the sports journalism career. So he gonna die in front of that microphone. So Skip ain't taking no time off or thinking about retiring no time soon. Time soon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But mentioning the GOAT conversation,
hey,
Scottie Pippen says Michael Jordan was a Kippen. Sometimes I can't talk on this thing. But Scottie Pippen said Michael Jordan was a horrible teammate.
Man,
Skip weigh in on Scottie's comments.
Did you just call me Skip? I
did call you Skip. Skip. But Sticks weigh in on Scottie's comments, man. Bro.
So the crazy thing about Scottie Pippen is everything was cool before The Last Dance. Everything was cool between 100%. Him and Mike before The Last Dance came out. And that's whenever Scottie felt like he was slighted in his performances and what he gave to the Bulls team on that run to get those 6 titles. So he's been, over the past 2020 is whenever The Last Dance came out. And since that came out, he has publicly bashed Michael Jordan. He has publicly said that LeBron is the greatest player to ever play the game. He has publicly, talked about a lot. He put out a book, talking about different things about Mike and the team and, basically a biography about how he, everything that was going on with him. So he's been on a 3-year run with doing appearances and on social media, putting the book out and just talking about how Mike has been a terrible player. And he came out and said that, prior to them getting that team together that they got together, Mike was a bad teammate. He was taking terrible shots. It was all one-on-one, and then whenever he got there and they got that team together, that's when they started winning championships. And it's just weird to see their dynamic go down the drain because of now it was a documentary. It was a great documentary. I like the documentary myself, but I was watching a video on YouTube about the documentary. It was a guy that just kind of summed everything up, and it was very egocentric whenever it comes to the talk around Mike. It was very egocentric, and he had all control about what they talked about. He had, and it was basically just basically
Mike had all control of it, right?
100%. Yeah. Mike had all control about what they talked about on the documentary, and it was basically Michael Jordan. It was kind of like they roughing the Temptations, like anybody coming to see you, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So it was like Mike and the role players, you know, that's what everybody else was. And Scottie felt slighted, and not even to mention the fact that whenever they were going through those seasons, Mike was making $33 million a year, and Scottie Pippen was making $2 million a year. Now, whose fault is that? It's Scottie's, because he signed that long-term, like 8-year contract. But he just kind of felt slighted. And Scottie was a great basketball player. Even whenever Mike retired and went to go play baseball, Scottie led that team to the playoffs by him. Not necessarily I wouldn't say by himself. I'm not going to say that. But he was the star of the team whenever Mike left. So Scottie had a lot to say, bro. Like, what do you feel about Scottie's comments, bro?
I feel like these are his true feelings. And I get confused, but I feel like these are his true feelings. And the reason why I feel like they're his true feelings is because in 2011, he said that LeBron was better than Michael Jordan. He said that LeBron right now, he gets knocked because he takes bad. This was in 2011. LeBron gets knocked because he doesn't take the last shot and all of that. But overall, he's way better. He's a better player. He'll go down as being the better player than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan will be considered the greatest scorer ever, but LeBron James will be considered the best player ever. And then that stance changed in like 2018. I guess Jordan came and checked him a bit, and he went on to say, he can't see a vision any scenario where he picks LeBron over Michael Jordan in a game. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, The Last Dance came out. He felt some type of way, I'm sure, and now he's back on. LeBron James is statistically the best basketball player that has ever lived. But he still has Mike in his top 5, which, I mean, you can't, he played with him, right? So he obviously knows firsthand the capabilities of Michael Jordan. But to say what he has been saying the last couple of years, he's a horrible teammate. LeBron's better, and that's a matter of opinion. We can't knock him for having his opinion, even though he played with one of the best players ever and arguably everybody's consensus GOAT. To say what you said and then now to then also have him in your top 5. I don't know how I feel about that. That's why I get confused, because he counter argues his statements all the time. And, what he says 1 minute, he then comes back with something else. And then he says something else that's against what he said 2 years ago. So, I mean, you kind of wonder if he's going through some type of whatever that's just set him off. I don't know. Obviously, people will say he's also upset because of another situation, which I don't think he's upset about that, if we're being honest.
But Larsa is out there going crazy with Michael Jordan's son. So
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think ultimately he feels betrayed by Jordan, Michael Jordan, and how he was presented in The Last Dance. But these are his true feelings. He tried to play by the rules of Jordan and get on the wagon when it comes to who's the greatest of all time. But then after he got on the wagon, he was kind of slapped in the face with The Last Dance and him not making a lot of money, his decision to sit out that last shot that Tony Kukoc did.
I saw that too.
It was Michael Jordan's team. And, even when Jordan left to go play baseball, he would come back to practice and run practices and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, you was just God over here. All right, who was I? You know what I mean? So,
right.
I definitely think, like you said, it stems from this Last Dance thing, and now he's feeling some type of way, and he's going to make sure that everybody knows how he feels about Michael Jordan, and not only Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson apparently. So
Phil Jackson too, yeah, because he said it. He went on Dan Patrick and said about that Tony Kukoc shot that it was a matter of race. You know what I'm saying? It was, he blatantly, not necessarily blatantly called it, but Dan Patrick was like, that means you calling Phil Jackson a racist. And he was like, I ain't got no problem with that. I was like, dang, like what is Scottie, what are you doing?
To find out, I mean, his statements may not be far off.
They might not be. So I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like Scottie had, like D'Lo said, Scottie has a firsthand look at who everybody says is the consensus greatest of all time. He played with him for a decade. And LeBron James, he's watching in live action. So you have the pleasure of playing with the GOAT or people's GOAT, the people's GOAT, and you have the pleasure of watching a GOAT in action. So you're gonna have your opinions. My opinion is that LeBron is the GOAT. My opinion is that. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that Michael Jordan ain't a GOAT, but LeBron is the greatest player to ever play basketball, to me personally. And I don't really, knock Pippen for saying what he's saying, but the flip-flopping, contradictory going back and forth from Mike and LeBron, and it looks like it's stemming from just your emotions about how you feel about the documentary, is, you kind of lighten your argument a lot. Like you don't have your footing in this argument doesn't stand because you went from Mike to Jordan. I mean, you went from Mike to LeBron, back to Mike, and now back to LeBron. So, like, which one is it, my nigga? Like, which one is it? But to call him a terrible teammate and to call him a bad player, that's crazy.
That's where I was going to go next. That's where I was going to go next is how can you say, I can understand you may have issues with his leadership skills.
Right.
As was apparent in The Last Dance. Like, and Mike even admitted, maybe his leadership style was not for everybody, but he got the best out of the player, his teammates that he could, and ultimately 100%. Is how they won the games they won. So I can see you may have an issue with his leadership style, but to say he was a horrible basketball player from a basketball standpoint, listen, like you said, you got LeBron as your GOAT. I mean, I'm gonna say 1A, 1B. It is what it is.
You don't want Pops to be on your ass.
Yeah, Pop, I don't want my dad on my ass, bro. But there's no way. And as he said, there's no scenario where I'm taking Michael Jordan over. I'm taking LeBron James over Michael Jordan. I'm gonna say there's no scenario in my mind where Michael Jordan is a horrible basketball player. Not one. So for him to say that, it really shows that he's coming off right now as disgruntled and petty for what has happened to him or how he was portrayed in that Last Dance. And if we're being honest, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, he's always been the unanimous or ultimate Robin. So I don't know if he wanted to feel like Superman and Batman. I don't know, but he wasn't portrayed that bad in that Last Dance. So for him to really feel like this now or come out and say all this now is like you said, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on because now he's just coming off as disgruntled.
100%. And it's more so about how I think the one thing that really pissed Scottie off in The Last Dance was that Michael Jordan called him selfish for getting that surgery at the end of the year when he could have got it over the summer, before the season started, and been ready for the season. But Mike felt like he was trying to hold, Krause's, feet to the fire to change his contract. So if I ain't here, you're gonna have to do something with me by the end of the year. Once I get this surgery and I come back healthy, you're gonna have to fix my contract and you have to pay me more, which I can't remember. I don't even think it happened because Krause blew the team up. You know what I'm saying? After that last season, he didn't bring Phil Jackson back. Michael Jordan went back into retirement because he wasn't going to play for another coach until he came back for the Bullets, but for the Wizards, but whatever. And then of course Scottie went on to go to the Blazers. So it didn't happen. I don't know if the Blazers. I don't even know what the Blazers contract was to Scottie, but I'm pretty sure it was better than what the Bulls gave him. But I'm gonna have to look that up and research it to get that information. But Krause won't do nothing with that team. He told them before the season started, this would be the last dance. This would be it. So for you to try to hold his feet to the fire, that won't gonna work, my boy, because he already had his mind made up before the season even started. So you should have got the surgery before, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, he just coming off as very disgruntled. So I mean, I don't agree with what he said. I do understand his emotion, but I don't agree with what's coming out of his mouth. Because just like we said, there's no vision in my mind that Michael Jordan was ever in life a terrible basketball player. Never.
Ever. Yeah, I don't know. But it just shows that we are complex beings, and the smallest thing
100%.
can set us on a different trajectory, you know, because those two were perceived as best friends, you know, and they had a rich history together, a winning history together. And usually when you're a part of a winning organization, winning culture, whatever that winning is, whenever winning is involved, the individuals that are included in that you hold fondly. And to see these two now with the type of relationship that they apparently have is crazy and beyond belief to me. But again, it just shows the type of complex individuals and humans that we are, that you can take that winning history and then a little spat or a little speckle of an event happens, and now you separate yourself from a person that you created a lot of great memories with.
Right. And it just sucks, man. I mean, because Scottie is the one that's kind of throwing it down the drain as far as their friendship. Michael Jordan ain't said much about none of this, honestly, because he's winning the argument. To be perfectly honest with you, he's winning the argument. Everybody still thinks Michael Jordan is the GOAT, so Mike ain't got to say nothing. But Scottie is just trying to get he's trying to get his voice out there, man, and he's trying to, you know, kind of voice how he feels. And I don't blame him for it, but you gotta be chill, bro. He's got to chill out.
100%.
But moving from one basketball topic to the next, let's talk about what's going on with the NBA Finals, man, because it's finally here. Game 1 is in the books. The Nuggets took that game by about 10 points. And we keep talking about this dude, man, but Jokic, dog, like, as ugly as his game is, how's he out there balling like he balling, dog? Between him and Jamal Murray, I don't know who's really going to be the Finals MVP if the Nuggets win it. But what's going on with these finals, man? What you feel about these finals, G?
I mean, I think I was on record to saying that Denver would make the finals, even though I wanted the Lakers to win because of LeBron being involved with the Lakers. But I think I was on record to saying that Miami was a surprise, right? Even though they have been playing well throughout these playoffs. Jimmy Butler has willed this team to be in the current position that they are in the NBA Finals. So, you know, one side it was to be expected. The other side is a bit of a surprise. But if we're going to say what these finals will look like, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you my prediction right now. I feel like the Nuggets are going to win the NBA Finals, and it's going to be a gentleman's sweep, I think. Now the Miami Heat will come back. Since they lost game 1, Jimmy Butler didn't play that well in game 1. They'll come back. They'll respond. Jimmy Butler will play well, but I feel like tonight, game 2, they'll still lose. The Nuggets are just a complete team, man.
They are, bro.
Jamal Murray, like you said, is playing well. He averaged 34 points in the Western Conference Finals. Nikola Jokic, who is growing on me, the more I watch him play, the more I'm like, all right, this dude is pretty good. His game is not athletic, it's not flashy, but he gets the job done. I think Paul George called him the big cooker. Because he just be out there cooking, man. And it's like, it's just like he does what he does to you. Like last game 1 of the finals. In the first half, he had 10 points and I think 10 boards and 4 assists or 6 assists. He finished the game with 28 points. I forgot how many boards, but that was a double.
16 rebounds.
16 rebounds and 10 assists. Like, the stuff he does, man, like okay, he about to have an average game. And then when you get back to the end of the box score at the end of the game, it's like, damn, how he
get 30? How he drop 30? He just had 10. Like, how did it happen?
So, I mean, I ultimately think from a historical perspective and for a narrative standpoint, no matter, unless Jamal Murray just dropping 50 points every game, Nikola Jokic will also be the Finals MVP. But Jamal Murray will be close because he's been balling too. He had 26 the other night. He probably, in my opinion, he probably should have won. Jamal Murray, probably should have won Most Outstanding Player of the Western Conference Finals because he averaged 34 points and had six assists. So, not to say anything against Miami, I just think they're outmatched. Because they really aren't really supposed to be in the finals anyway, but they are here. And, maybe I'm wrong. I counted them out throughout the whole Eastern Conference playoffs. So, we'll see. What you think?
So, I mean, I'm going to go on record too. Sorry about that. But I'm going to go on record too and say that the Nuggets are going to win their first NBA championship. And I want to say is they're gonna. I'm gonna say they're gonna win they're gonna win in 6. It's gonna be 4-2. We're gonna win in 6. I think Miami will make it interesting, but they're not. They don't have enough firepower, and they're very much outmatched by the Denver Nuggets. Just like you said, man, Jimmy Butler willed this team to this finals. He literally willed this team to this finals. He had a couple of guys that go off. You might have Duncan Robinson go off here, and a couple of guys go crazy, but they're very much outmatched by this team. I mean, Denver is running an 8-man rotation that is going to, if Jimmy Butler don't go off. But see, that's the thing that you got to think about in game 1. Jimmy Butler had a below average game for his standards in the playoffs, especially this playoffs. He had a very below average game for his standards in this playoffs. And the team only shot 10 free throws, but they only lost by 10 points. So you got to think that there's something there that you got to think that the only thing that was missing was Jimmy Butler, to be perfectly honest with you. So if they had that same performance and Jimmy Butler goes off, they have the potential to take a game or two in this finals. I'm not saying that they're going to win it. That's why I said it's probably going to be like a 6-game series. Not saying that they will win the series, because I genuinely think that Jokic and Jamal Murray and KPJ and KCP and all these guys are going to go crazy. They have a complete team. They are built to win this championship, especially over the Miami Heat. But the Miami Heat have what it takes to compete. I just don't think they have what it takes to win. But see that also, you already alluded to my next question, and I know you've been wanting to talk about this for about a week or so now. You talked about with the historically that you think that Jokic is going to win. If they win the championship, that he's going to win the Finals MVP. Do you think it's more important to have a Finals MVP or a league MVP?
Yeah, so I had to do a lot of thinking about this.
Okay.
My original thought was Finals MVP.
Okay.
And the reason I thought it was Finals MVP is because, league MVP, you were the best player for a duration, a longer period of time. But when all the chips were on the line and you had to get it done, when it counted, you won a Finals MVP. So in my mind, I thought the Finals MVP was more important, but I changed it.
Okay.
I think league MVP is more important. Okay. And the reason I think league MVP is more important is I'll give you, ultimately, I think both of them in tandem are best when we're talking about all-time greats and legacy standpoint. But if we're just talking about strictly the two separate, I think league MVP is the best. And the reason I think it is more important.
I know where you're going. I think I know where you're going with this, but go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I think it's more important is because let's take into consideration, is it 3 different scenarios? I
know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Let's take 3 different scenarios. First scenario, we're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard.
I knew it.
Kawhi Leonard
finish up.
is a 2 times final MVP. And while he is a great player, he has never been in the conversation for one of the greatest players of all time. We know when we talk about greatest players of all time, there is like a handful of individuals that without you even really knowing much about basketball, these individuals are thrown into the pot, right? And Kawhi has had some outstanding seasons. He has performed well in NBA Finals, and he's been a Finals MVP. But from a historical standpoint, from an all-time great standpoint, he isn't considered one of the greatest of all time.
Correct.
Another person, the NBA logo, Jerry West.
Jerry West. Yep.
Jerry West has NBA Finals. He's one of the only individuals to ever win a Finals MVP on a losing team, even though LeBron probably should have won the year they lost to the Golden State Warriors when Andre Iguodala won. But Jerry West is the only person
you was probably going to talk about. Well, that was probably the next one you was going to talk about was Iguodala. But go ahead.
I lumped them together.
Gotcha.
West and Iguodala. But Jerry West never won a league MVP. And again, while he is a great, he's not considered one of the all-time greats to ever play basketball, even though he's a logo, right?
Right.
And then as far as league MVPs, it's two in this scenario. One is the person that we've been talking about, Nikola Jokic. For the last month, it seems like we've been talking about him and his all-time greatness. At this point, it's only been sent from the center standpoint, but yeah, you might be able to. Maybe he's growing. He's growing on me. I'll just go on the record to say that
too. He's growing on me too.
He's
Even though his
definitely
game was
growing on
ugly,
me.
he's growing on me too.
He's growing on me, and so he's definitely moved up the list when it comes to all-time great centers, and his face is kind of popping in and out for me. Pause. When it comes to just all-time great in general. So Nikola Jokic, because he has two league MVPs, he's putting up historical numbers. And then the other person before he got Finals MVP and was considered an all-time great was Steph Curry. Steph Curry was considered an all-time great, even though Andre Iguodala won the Finals MVP on a team he was on in the Finals. And he hadn't had a Finals MVP before that. So all-time great shooter, everybody will say that, and he was automatically
greatest
considered
of all-time shooter.
Yeah, greatest of all time.
Yeah,
the GOAT shooter of all time, right?
100%.
And he was considered to be in the greatest of all time just in general because of his league MVPs, which one of them was unanimous. So for me, and for those scenarios alone is why I was like, maybe league MVP is probably better to have. I said all of that, but what do you think?
I agree with you. I think league MVP is definitely has a lot more to go with the legacy than a Finals MVP, because Finals MVP is just taking into account that series, no matter how short or how long the series is, right? So the series can go 7 games, it can go 4 games. If you were considered the best player in that series, you're going to win MVP. A la Iguodala, which I don't think he was. A la
Kawhi Leonard was not. He wasn't even the best player on his team, if we're being honest. Steph Curry played well that. Yeah, go ahead, 100%. My fault.
So he wasn't the best player on the team, nor was he the best player in that series. It was just because he was guarding LeBron, and he, so to speak, stopped LeBron, which he didn't. He didn't at all. But
man, still averaged 30.
Still averaged 30 in the series. But whenever he was on LeBron, he stifled him. Whatever they was talking about. That's why he got it. Whatever. It's an asterisk beside that Finals MVP. And Kawhi Leonard, same situation, because he was playing against LeBron and he stifled LeBron. He was the best player in that series because he stopped the greatest player in the game at the time, or supposedly did, which he didn't. Still averaged 26 and 7 and 7 in the series. It don't matter. So what are you talking about? So, and another one that I want to throw out there too, which I don't think they deserve the Finals MVP as well, was Kevin Durant's Golden State Warrior Finals MVP. I think Steph deserved that one too, if you want to be perfectly honest. But I mean, they both played well, but I think Steph played better. That's just me. But league MVP is warranted a lot more of that towards your legacy, to be perfectly honest, because you're the best player in the entire league for the entire season, an 82-game season, not just a 7-game series. So if you have that under your belt, especially a unanimous one, or just one in general, it ain't got to be unanimous, but you can be in that conversation of, one of the great players the game has ever seen. So, but Finals MVP, nobody's ever going to talk about Iguodala being a greatest player of the game ever. Same thing, just like D'Lo just said, Kawhi Leonard, same thing. Jerry West, he's considered one of the greatest players in the game, but not any of the greatest of all time. Maybe one of the greatest point guards of all time, but not greatest player the game has ever seen. So it's like, I agree with you as far as league MVP. Finals MVP can go to anybody, dog. It can go to anybody. Freaking Jordan Poole. If they would have won, Jordan Poole could have won it, and he don't deserve it either. So, it's one of those things with the Finals MVP for me.
But in that same breath, though, right? If the Miami Heat were somehow able to, I say somehow like they're down 3-0, but if they pull this out and win, and Jimmy Butler wins Finals MVP, rather than the Nuggets pull it out and Nikola Jokic wins the Finals MVP, whose stock would that help more when it comes to all-time great? Would it help Jimmy Butler's, or would it further elevate Nikola Jokic? I think it would do the same for both of them, if we're being honest. I think both of their, let's just say Jimmy wins it. I think the level in which people view him as an all-time great, not the greatest of all time, but as an all-time great, I think it bumps him up to this point. And I think even with Nikola Jokic being who he is right now, it bumps him up that same amount. But because of the league MVPs that Nikola Jokic has, it puts him higher on a pedestal, on the pedestal of NBA all-time great players. And it puts Jimmy in more of a conversation, I think, as being an all-time great. So it feels like I'm talking outside of my neck, but I think it really helps Jimmy's stock if the Miami Heat are to pull it out and he is to get Finals MVP, because he does not have a league MVP, but you said it multiple times before on our podcast, is that it's known that Jimmy kind of like
trolls throughout the season.
Throughout the season. And then when the playoffs hit, he turns it on. So I think in that respect, if people look at him as strictly a playoff basketball player, a crunch time player that gets it done, then it'll push him up, even though he probably shouldn't be pushed up. And Nikola Jokic has those 2 league MVPs and probably should have had, looking at how he's playing right now, probably should have a 3rd one in a row. It'll put him in that talks of greatest of all time, insert whatever you want to insert.
Right. I think in the essence of that conversation, I think if the Miami Heat pull it out and Jimmy Butler wins Finals MVP, I think that would boost. It's a couple of factors that would boost him more than it would boost Jokic, because Jokic is already considered he's already been in talks of at least the greatest center, one of the greatest centers of all time, right?
Right.
Jimmy isn't in any of those conversations, right? But the reason why I think it will boost his legacy a little bit more if they were to pull it out is a factor of a couple of things, because these guys were coming out of the 8th seed, out of the play-in, the 8th seed, the last team, right? So Jimmy, literally, we already said at the beginning of this segment that he willed this team to this finals. Not necessarily, well, you can kind of say by himself, because Kyle Lowry ain't the same player, and he got a lot of role players around him, right?
So Caleb Martin's been going on. I think his name's Caleb Martin.
Yeah, he's been doing his thing. But at the same time, Jimmy Butler is the superstar and the leader of this team.
Right.
So with them being the 8th seed, without question. So with him being the 8th seed and going crazy throughout the playoffs as he's been and leading and willing his team to the finals, and if they actually pull this off and win this championship and he ends up the Finals MVP, his legacy will be built because of those factors, right?
Right. Yeah.
If Jokic wins it, to be honest, if the Nuggets win it and Jokic wins the Finals MVP, I expected that, honestly.
Right.
I expected.
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, you know it could tie. You're right. It could tie into what I said, how we started out the segment. For me, anyway, is I expected the Denver Nuggets to be here, and the Miami Heat are a complete surprise. So if the Miami Heat are to win, and if Jimmy Butler is to win Finals MVP, it's like, well, damn, look at the circumstances in which he came from to get that. And so, yeah, okay, that's a valid point. Very valid point.
So, I mean, but it's just hard to say, man, because the Nuggets, they literally far outmatched them. I mean, I was saying that again with the Lakers too. They far outmatched the Lakers, even with LeBron, even with AD. They were overmatched. Look, the Lakers were overmatched, and you can see.
And I didn't feel that way.
Yeah, but because I ended up going out there and getting swept.
Yeah. They swept them though. Yeah. I didn't feel that way.
Man, you can see it on the court, bro. Like AD couldn't guard Jokic. LeBron was you can tell that he was kind of a step behind on a lot of different plays that he was playing, missed layups, losing the ball, and trying to shoot 30-foot threes and barely hitting the front of the rim. Like, bro, like you could tell that whole series that they were overmatched. And now you're seeing the same thing with the Miami Heat, even though that game was a little closer. Well, all of the games with the Lakers series was very close too, like 10 points or below as well. But
the game 3 they lost by 13.
Okay, that's right.
11. I'm sorry, they lost by 11.
11. You're right. But 11 points or less is wherever those 4 games went. And the same thing happened in the first game with the Miami Heat. They only won by 10 points. So a lot of these games are, I guess you can say close. No, I don't know what people consider a blowout, but I guess you can say close. But is it going to be the same? Are we going to see the same thing with the Heat that we saw with the Lakers? I don't know, man. We got to keep watching, man.
Look at us falling into the media, sports media trap, talking about the Los Angeles Lakers when we should be talking about and focusing on the
LeBron controlling the narrative. LeBron is controlling
the Miami Heat. Look at us, daggone.
He's controlling the narrative. I swear. Yeah. But but we'll see what happens though.
We'll see. So Lonzo Ball might not play basketball again.
Man, that's what they saying.
I mean, that's at least what the Chicago Bulls are privately saying, right? That's what they believe.
That's what they believe.
How you feel about Zoe's career potentially being over so soon?
I mean, he has had a multitude of injuries. You know, a couple of foot injuries that weren't as bad, but his knees have been what's really bad over the last few years, and he's going in for his 3rd knee surgery. And Lonzo Ball, man, I mean, he came out of UCLA as one of the highest prospects, man. You know, 1st overall pick, and was projected second. You're right, second overall pick, and was projected to go crazy. But I hate to say this because I consider myself a good father, but I feel like his dad just fucked everything up for him, bro. Honestly,
you think so?
I've always said this about LeVar. I've always said this, that although I appreciate the love and support that he has for his sons, I felt like he was way too hands-on. Mm-hmm. Way too hands-on, to the point where he didn't let those guys go out and experience things for themselves and do things on their own. And, you know, he was all in the media, on First Take, on Cold Pizza, all over the place, talking about his sons, which is cool. Promote your kids. I'm going to do whatever I can do for Sam as far as her volleyball career. But at the same time, I'm not going to interject myself into interviews and doing everything that LeVar was doing, bro. I honestly, and I'm probably going to get some backlash for this, and I don't care. But in my opinion, LeVar was way too in front of his kids. He took a lot of the shine where his kids should have been up front, to me personally. I saw way more LeVar than I ever saw of Lonzo, of LaMelo, and of LiAngelo. I saw way more LeVar. I saw too much LeVar Ball. Mm-hmm. And that goes in to say about the shoes that LeVar made him wear. The Big Baller brand shoes, which Lonzo was on record of saying about 4 years back that those shoes were horrible. They were not ready. They exploded. I had to take 4 pairs every single game because I had to change every single quarter because they would just tear up on me while I was playing. Now, my question is, number 1, how do you feel about it? And number 2, do you feel like the shoes are the reason why his knees are so bad?
How do I feel about
Lonzo and his career personally possibly being over?
Yeah. So, start out with that question.
No,
it's always unfortunate when stuff like this happens to certain individuals, right? Like you said, Lonzo came out highly touted in 2017. He was the 2nd overall pick in the NBA draft that year. People expected him to do very well in the NBA. And while I don't think he would ever blossom into a superstar in the NBA, I think he would have served very well in the NBA as a bigger point guard. So in that regard, I think if it is true that his career is over, I think he could have gotten maybe 7 to 8 more years out of his playing career. Fast forward real quick. I also don't think his I truly don't think his career is over, and we'll get to that later. But if it is in fact over, as the Chicago Bulls are privately believing, then it's unfortunate, because he's put in the work to have a sustainable career. When he first came out, his shot was funky. It would just look all weird. He brought it from the left side and to the right in order to get it up, and he was shooting terrible from the 3-point line. But he worked on that. He changed his shot, which we all know is very difficult to do, especially this late into his playing career. He was in the NBA, so he put in that shows work ethic, and he put in the work to make those changes. And his shot improved. He became more of a danger or a weapon from the 3-point line, and moved on to. He started out with the Lakers. With the Pelicans, he showed a lot of improvement. And when he was playing with the Chicago Bulls briefly, before he had all these strings of injuries, he was playing really well. So it is unfortunate. As far as the shoes are concerned, to kind of unpack this a little bit. So you said you thought LeVar was overbearing maybe overbearing isn't a good word, but you thought he was more in front of the camera than his kids were. Originally, I did have an issue with that because, I'm more of a reserved individual to some regards. So to be that type of parent, to me at the time when I felt like that, was off-putting. But LeVar took a lot of bullets for his kids unexpectedly. And he took he added pressure to his kids, but he also took a lot of pressure off of his kids. When it came to him being up front in the media. And I don't think he pushed himself. Like it was him saying, I want to be on this TV. I think a lot of sports media companies came to him asking for his opinion, and just continually kept asking him. And so then he became this personality. And so when he went on TV to be himself and to promote his kids in the way he did, it became, oh, he said that. Oh, we got to get him on our media outlet as well. And so it just became a thing.
Yeah, a domino effect. Yeah.
And as we see now, is tapered down. But he did everything that he said, or his sons, should say, did everything that he said that they were going to do.
Happen.
All three of them made it to the NBA to some regard.
To some degree, yep.
Two of them were picked in the top 3 picks of their respective drafts. And then the third brother was playing in the NBA, or at least got the opportunity to play in the NBA.
Got a chance to.
So for all the trash that he talked, all of the commotion that he made with whatever he was doing on TV, he did what his kids did, what they needed him to do. And some people need that. I think LaMelo out of the 3 may be the most flamboyant. I shouldn't say flamboyant, the most flashy, most outgoing spirit of all the 3.
It's a little bit of a different word these days.
Yeah. That's why I said maybe I shouldn't say flamboyant. But I feel like Lonzo is a little reserved. I feel like LaMelo, while he is rebellious, he is a little reserved as well. But I feel like LaMelo is the one that's, if he ain't with it, he just not with it. And so on to the shoes. Do I think that the shoes could be the reason? And I know I'm really long-winded here, so I'll try to get as nice as I can with this. On to the shoes. I think, yes, the shoes are one of the reasons why Lonzo is in the predicament that he is in right now. And it's unfortunate, but it's also, a true testament into entrepreneur spirit as well. The reason I think that it is unfortunate is because we know technology in shoes is one of the reasons why basketball players are able to do some of the things that they do in today's current game. You and I had this conversation, I think 3 weeks ago, when we were talking about Larry Bird, ironically. And we said that the players back then were playing in basically Converse All-Stars, Chuck Taylors. I mean, before Larry Bird, but Chuck Taylors and shoes like that. There ain't no technology in that. If you go play basketball in those shoes right now, you probably won't even make it 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes.
Playing how
we play basketball right now.
Right.
You won't. you won't play it. And if you do, your feet will and legs or whatever is probably going
Ankles,
to be
all
hurt.
that hurt.
All that's going to be hurt immediately when you take those shoes off and for the next 2 to 3 days. And so imagine being a player playing in those shoes and then having to go and play the next day or the day after your feet and legs are shot. So we know technology plays a big part. Just think about the Air Jordans, which were one of the most technological sound shoes that there ever were up until at that point in time, except for maybe the Jordan 1s, which he broke his ankle in. But after that, Nike put so much technology into the Air Jordans that now they are regarded as the best shoe out always, because of not only the technology, but because of the design that came with it. And the man behind it, right? Michael Jordan was able to do a lot of things on the basketball court because of his talent, but also because of the shoes that he had as well, the technology that was in them. So do I think the shoes played a big part, could have played a big part in where Lonzo Ball is right now with the injury and potentially being out of the league? I absolutely do. And then we can talk about the entrepreneurial thing here shortly. So to answer your questions, yeah, absolutely. I think they played a part in him being in that position now.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of circling back a little bit to LeVar, man. I mean, I hear what you're saying as far as him taking a lot of bullets for the kids and everything he said the kids did. A lot of me says that a lot of what he did in that time that he did take those bullets and was promoting his kids, he was also promoting that brand. Because a lot of the time he talked about when he was on these shows, he was promoting Triple B. So
absolutely,
I think he. And I don't like saying this as a dad because I am a very supportive father. I support Sam in everything she does, her artwork, school, sports, all that. And I can understand why D-Lo said what he said about LeVar, and I can understand where LeVar is coming from. But if I were in that situation, I feel like a lot of the things that LeVar did, he did for the benefit of himself and not for those children. That's just me. That's just me.
Yeah.
But
it's a matter of opinion, I think.
Yeah.
You have your right to feel that way. And as we've said in many other situations, what works for you or what works for somebody else may not work for you.
100%.
So LeVar's parenting style apparently worked for his family. Because as far as I know, he only has 3 boys, right? He doesn't have any other children. I don't think
he has any other children. I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
It worked in the regard of how he wanted it to work. They all made it professionally to some degree. 2 of them really made it in the league, and one of them didn't. And he made it to the league, but not to the same degree as his other brothers. And he was able to bring into fruition a brand that, you are correct. If he wasn't talking about his children on those shows, he was talking about the Big Baller brand, which brings another complexity to this topic, because I mentioned entrepreneurship. We all talk about entrepreneurship, or America talks about entrepreneurship so much that you have to applaud LeVar as well as Lonzo, because I don't think the other two, while they were a part of it, I don't ever remember LaMelo wearing
Never did
Big Baller brand shoes in the NBA, and I really don't remember if LiAngelo did or not, but Lonzo definitely did. And so, as far as entrepreneurship, first you gotta give it up for LeVar, because he was a mastermind behind the Big Baller brand. He founded and created the brand, or found the resources to bring that brand into fruition. He promoted not only his sons, but the brand, like you mentioned, on various sports media outlets, or whenever he could, which got the brand to be what it is. It also helped propel his sons, because as he was talking about the brand, he was also mentioning his sons, which gave them a little bit of notoriety. Now his sons are good basketball players, so because they had that behind him, I'm gonna bring another person in that you mentioned last week, which kind of shocked me that you said. Not only do they have that notoriety behind them, but because they're good, all eyes are on them. It's like, oh, these boys are actually pretty good. Same Bronny James. You said you thought Bronny James would be one and done last week. In my mind, Bronny is a good player. I don't see him as being a one and done, but because of who his dad is and because of the potential of what can happen if Bronny is picked by the team and what you can get as a package, yeah, okay, Bronny is going to be a one and done, so that makes sense.
Right.
But so back to LeVar. So you applaud LeVar for all of that. But then in the same breath, you have to applaud Lonzo too, because Lonzo, in true entrepreneurial spirit, said, I don't know if he said this or not, but I would imagine this. I don't really want to wear these shoes because they're not really ready, but because it's my dad's brand, or I'm gonna say family brand, because while LeVar pumped it as it seemed like it was LeVar's brand, he always said, this is going to be a family brand. This is a legacy for my kids. And so Lonzo took that on, whether he wanted to or not, he did. And he wore the shoes, even when they busted on him and he had to change them 4 to 5 times a game until it got to a certain point where he couldn't wear the shoes at all. He continued to wear those shoes, turned down numerous contracts, whether it be Nike, Adidas, $10 million plus, to represent his family brand. So you got to applaud both of those individuals. And it just happens that Lonzo's career, hopefully not, but Lonzo's career is going to be a casualty of his entrepreneurial spirit. But we all know that most entrepreneurs in this country fail more times than they succeed. It's just those that succeed, that one succession is like a major splash. And so the Big Baller brand, if you want to say it's a failure, it failed, and Lonzo's career was a part of that failure. But the family gave it a go at being entrepreneur, and it was in the mouth of everybody in the sports world, in the hip hop world, for a flash in the pan. So, is it really a failure? I don't know.
I wouldn't say it failed. I just don't think it did as well as they would want it to. And I don't. Yeah. I think they.
I went on a long tangent there. My bad.
No, you good. I think they. Now you straight. I think they rushed. I think they rushed it because of the growth and development of those 3 guys. Because all 3 of them were set to make it to the NBA whenever they were still in high school. So I mean, it's one of those things where he probably had that thought as far as the business is concerned and the brand is concerned for a while. He just had to push it as far as he could before his boys made it to the league, to be able to multiply on that once they started going. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure LeVar had that thought of, I'm going to compete with Nike with these shoes. You know what I'm saying? You got to, because Nike is the powerhouse in the shoe industry. So you have to be able to compete with them to be able to get it out there. But if you rush it and the productivity of the shoes aren't ready, and you try to push it as fast as you possibly can, and you put out a product that's not ready, that's whenever you have casualties at war, which is what Lonzo's career ultimately will be, because of these sneakers and then because of the Big Baller brand. So I mean, I do applaud them as a family. I still don't agree with a lot of the things that LeVar did, but I do understand why he did it, and how he did it was a little, it was rambunctious, and it was kind of obnoxious. But I understand with your explanation why he did it the way he did. But I mean, hopefully Lonzo's career isn't over. Hopefully he can still go, still play with get back with the Bulls and get his knees back together, and he can be great. But unfortunately, these types of injuries happen, and we're gonna see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, and that's what I'll wrap it up with. Is I don't think Lonzo's career is over. It may be over for a short period of time.
Yeah,
like he may require a year or two to take some time to fully rehab, not really worry about getting back, rushing to get back to play. Take some time to himself, get himself back together, and then come back. And I'll compare him to, because he's only 25. I'll compare him to Derrick Rose. Everybody said Derrick Rose's career was over a long time ago. And while he's not the Derrick Rose that he was when he first came into the league, when he won the MVP, another person that won the MVP that we talk about, league MVP, I didn't even think about that until just now. But Derrick Rose isn't that person that he was when he won that MVP, or when he first came into the league, because of his knees. But what he was able to do was he was able, with some time, not any pressure to get back or whatnot, he was able to get himself together. He was able to rehab. And Derrick Rose has been in the league, various teams, but he's still been in the league. He's played here and there. He's been in the league way longer than people thought when they thought his career was over. So I compare Lonzo to Derrick Rose. If he just doesn't worry about trying to get back, gets himself together, rehabs properly, I think he can extend his career for a few more years, and he may be a journeyman, but he'll have some time in the league to more than what people are privately saying right now about his career is done. I don't think it's done for that reason if he does it properly.
Yeah, for sure. And I just looked it up. Derrick Rose been in the league for 14 years, and he's probably still gonna be in the league next year. So, and
right,
Lonzo's only been in the league 6 years, so going on 7. So if he's still got another 8 years under his belt, kudos to him. Hopefully, he had that time to rehab and get everything together with his knees, and he can still have a long, prosperous career. Because I think he still got some in the tank. He just got to get it together.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
All right, Sticks, episode 28 in the books.
Episode 28 done, my boy. Yeah.
Done. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this has been Too Complex. We hope that you enjoyed today's show. You can find us on all of your streaming platforms. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on all of our social media outlets, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. The handle is Too Complex Pod. And remember, if it ain't too complex, it ain't complex at all. With that being said, we'll catch y'all next time. Salute.